Hi, this is Billy McBride. I've been reading a lot of poems lately, and I thought I'd give some kind of an explanation of why I'm writing them and maybe why I'm writing them in this style. First of all, I've done about 50 of them, and I have been posting them online as a kind of flow chart to read to people when certain reactions of the audience happen. But there's something deeper, I think, with these poems. As confusing as they might be at first, I think what has happened with them for me by writing them is that I've understood a lot of the sense of how these connect with a kind of loss that I've had. So these aren't really necessarily happy poems, but they are poems that can connect to those who experience a kind of loss, or a kind of, you can sympathize with the writer, I would imagine, or just the ideas in this poem. Not saying that I have had all of them, but there are thousands of problems with these described in these poems. For instance, I could give an example, but I'm not going to right now. You want to read or listen to some of the poems online already. But being so, this is kind of a self-help, almost me as a psychologist in one sense, for those who suffer from loss and melancholy. I had been writing kind of recently, in the past month, some charts of what I call banana trees. And a banana tree covers 5 different writers. There's Shakespeare, the Torah, which is part of the Bible, Freud. It covers Plato and Homer. And then when I said Shakespeare earlier, I also include an extra one with Hamlet. So I usually look at one kind of feeling that I had and connect all those different ones with how I felt. I got some chocolate on my lip. Okay, anyways, what I was thinking was that when I experience a Merkaba, which is kind of like a heavenly experience, falling from that kind of heaven, or not really falling, but coming back to earth from a kind of a heaven, since I have some angels that help me cope with coming back to earth, I always experience a sense of great loss, and I recognize in these fragments of my poems how I felt and how I still feel sometimes not being in that particular heaven. There's 14 heavens. And so, as I was saying about these banana trees or the different writers, they help cope with these losses too. But now it's my turn for me to kind of test my own sense of explanation of how I feel, instead of just name dropping with these regular writers that I always read. So even with Paradise Lost with John Milton, it has a sense of introjection, or you can sympathize with the heroes in that book, but it's not quite like that. It's a little bit different. It might be a Merkaba Lost, but not a Paradise Lost. So with my own kind of shamanism, in some sense, I am able to kind of give an explanation through my fragments in these poems. They're not really fragments, but they work as a whole. And what really happens when reading these poems is there are some huge problems that I'm trying to work with and cope with by writing. That sense of failure and loss. And what I'd like to do would be to kind of gather maybe a new kind of flow chart for these losses, so that I can understand them better, and maybe provide some kind of psychological self-help by writing them. And so instead of, this is what you should read to the reader or to the audience, to the public, when so-and-so happens, it might be something like, this is what has happened when somebody experiences a certain kind of loss. and so I'm trying to relate to them in that kind of way, in some kind of sequence. But these are just some new ideas, and they're very fresh for me right now, and I'm thinking, oh, I've got a lot of paper here on my lap. I'm going to start writing a little bit more about how my poems might be able to be used to help one cope. Since I'm a pragmatist, coping is a huge idea in pragmatism. But I also need to start working on the rest of the poems. I've done 50 so far, like I say, and I imagine that there might not be too much of a limit to like how many I can do. What I'm really trying to do in the poem is trying to show this is how it feels to when you lose something, when something important has happened and then you come back from that. And like for me, when I've gone to these 14 afterlives and keep going sometimes, but not all the time, but sometimes when I'm lucky enough to go, when I come back, then I feel really sad because that's gone, or I feel a sense of loss, and that's usually what happens with me. Hence, instead of using my usual authors to explain what has happened, I'm now working with my poems, and there's actually more variety in my poems now than how I have been using my authors. So I've got 50 poems so far. That's what I've been doing with the poems. Hopefully that helps explain them a little bit better. If it doesn't, it still explains them more to me. And that why, because I was getting kind of lost in trying to understand some of what I've been doing, even though I knew it was good for me, maybe for other people too, but that's at least what I've been working on. So thanks for listening.